Hello lovelies. So a recap of everything that's been going on. So day 4, day 5, and day 6, I have no footage. It wasn't working properly and I don't understand exactly why, but we're gonna try and do it a little bit differently. So I'll see if that works out or not. Fingers crossed this works, because day 4 I shot twice and still I couldn't figure out what was going on. So if you follow my Instagram account, every day I'm posting the things that I have done, so it is there. I did lemon gingered fermented carrots, and then I did a bulk haul from the Amish store, and I got some flour, some oats, spices, honey. And then the next day I made
taco seasoning.
Yeah, taco seasoning, chili seasoning, and Italian seasonings. So it's all there. I don't know what happened and I am so sorry. This is day 7 of the 100 days stocking something in my pantry every single day. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna be canning some beans. I could do dry beans on the shelf, but the convenience of it in a can already done is just even more amazing. The convenience of just grabbing something off of my shelf, and I'm more likely, like, my brain, if any of you all who watch me know my brain does not, it's all over the place all the time. So sometimes I'll even forget to like bring dinner out and make sure the night before. It's a discipline I have to teach myself. So until I teach myself this discipline, canned like convenience foods is the way for me to go. So, you don't have the footage, but last night I went ahead and I pre-soaked some pinto beans. I have 1, 2, 3 things of pinto beans here. Let me take this off. I went ahead, filled them up with water about 2 inches above the water, and then right before I went to bed I added more water, and I had to disperse them even more throughout the bowls just because the water would not have covered them all throughout the night. I put lemon juice in it. It helps with your tummy problems and digestion and all of that fun stuff, so I wanted to make sure that I went ahead and pre-soaked to get a better digestible product. Then I have 1 thing of black beans. You could tell that those went all the way over the water there. Here I have kidney beans and more pinto beans. So I guess I have 4 things of pinto beans. I'm gonna go ahead and start rinsing these off, and then I'm gonna put them back in here in a bigger pot, and I'm gonna let these come to a boil for 30 minutes. Okay, so I went ahead, washed my sink really good for you Nazis about in the sink. I'm gonna start on my black beans because they've lost some of that water. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get those done and over with. Now I'm just rinsing this, and then that way it's just, once again, more digestible. Now I'm going to just cover it up with water, and then I'm going to let that come to a boil for 30 minutes. I'm also, in just a minute after I get another set of beans up here, I'm gonna go ahead and cut up some onion and some garlic, and I'm gonna put it in there. That way it can absorb that flavor, and then it's just a really, really good bean to grab off the shelf. got my pinto beans on, and then I also have my black beans on, and I'm waiting for those to come to a boil. In the meantime, come with me. Okay, so I have some onions. I have 3 onions that I'm gonna use here. And then some garlic. And I'm just gonna go ahead, put that in my pots as it's boiling. And this is an amazing part about whenever you pre-soak your beans ahead of time before you can them, because they can just get all that lovely flavor that you want. You don't have to do the flavor. I split up my onions to equal out kind of my 3 pots. My black beans will get less just because there's less black beans. So black beans, the kidney beans, I went ahead and put the red in with the kidney beans that way, and the black beans. That way the color wouldn't mess with the pinto. And then I just gave the pinto the white ones. I'm just gonna skim this off here. I guess I should let you guys know, at this moment I have a whole bunch, my whole entire dishwasher full of pint jars. I think I have like 4 quart jars just for something else later, but I don't know how many I'll need, so I wanted to go ahead and get all of those in the dishwasher. That way they stay warm while I'm doing everything else. I'm just doing on a quick cycle. Since it is such a big batch, normally I would just do warm soapy water, but since it's a big batch, it goes in my dishwasher, and then it just saves me time and a lot of effort. Get this garlic chopped up and add the garlic to the pinto beans and the black beans. I'm also going to add some black peppercorn. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer for this one for 30 minutes. Okay, so while I am waiting for my black beans and my pinto beans to boil, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, use these bowls to hold my kidney beans in while they're cooking. I don't want to have my beans sit too long in water so then they get mushy. Plus, then that way I can just have this ready to go. Just pour some water in the stock pot whenever my black beans come off. I'll just put these on and then clean the pinto, clean my pressure canner. It's a whole process. I'll take you through it. It all makes sense, I promise. ahead and rinsed off all of my kidney beans. I've rinsed off my stock pot. I'm going to put it back into the sink. Just makes it a whole lot easier. And I'm going to dump my kidney beans back in. This process of letting them soak does take a lot of extra time, but to me it's totally worth it if I can go ahead and get all of the, I think it's totally worth it if it makes it a little bit easier on our stomachs, especially littles. My daughter's stomach will hurt quite a bit if I don't. Trying to figure out lighting, it's terrible in certain parts of the time of the day, especially in my kitchen. It's just not very good lighting, but work with me and I'll figure it all out, and then by the time that I've done, it'll all be ready. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna skim my pinto beans. Not absolutely necessary, but I'm gonna. I mean, look at all that. It helps the gut that you don't have to have all that in there. And I'm not gonna get everything to a T. I am not that worried about it. But I do want to get quite a bit off. Go ahead and add my onions and my garlic to my kidney beans while I'm waiting. I'm gonna go ahead and add all of these back into my freezer, and then these will be used for broth. All right, so my timer just went off for my black beans. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drain those out. Go ahead and grab the jars out of my dishwasher. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab 20 lids and have them going just to warm up on the stove. I lay mine out like this. Let me see if I can show you. So one will go this way. So one, and then the next one will lay the opposite direction. Now these jars don't have to be like sterilized now, up to date, but they do need to be clean and warm so that your jars don't pop. I'm gonna go ahead, I should have left that one container out, but that's okay for my broths and stuff. Just gonna grab this plate and I'm gonna pick out, as I see them, the garlic and the onions. You could definitely can them. Like it's not gonna hurt them to be canned, but I'm just choosing not to. And I went ahead and I started the time on the pinto beans. Filling these, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill them all the way up to the 1-inch headspace, because these beans are already the max size that they're gonna get, so you don't have to worry about them expanding. Also, I'm placing them on a towel, that way whenever it gets the warm and the hot touches the counter, it won't send your jar into overload and shock and shatter. Flavor is awesome. Like, you're not gonna get this at the store. Like, this is amazing about canning your own food, is you can make any kind of flavors you want. You could have put peppers in here. You could have put mustard seed, coriander, cumin, chili powder, whatever you wanted to put in here, you could put in here. I only put onion, garlic, and peppercorns in here. I have my kettle going. It's boiling water, and I'm going to pour it over it until I give it 1-inch headspace, and then I'm going to debubble it. All right, everyone. I had to switch over my information, all my videos and stuff, to my computer. So I'm already kind of canned a lot of it up, but I'm going to kind of start where I left off on the black beans. Okay, so I'm going to take my debubbler. You can also use a chopstick, and you're just going to just get the bubbles out. Make sure there's no air in there to the best of your ability. Doing was I was taking my debubbler, just stuffing it down in, getting the bubbles out. Then you're going to want it at that 1-inch headspace right here at that first rim. My rag, clean spot here. Then I'm just going to wipe off all of these rims. Get them clean. I just put the boiling water on here. You can also use a splash of vinegar. Do it that way you can get a seal that is pretty tight, and hopefully one that doesn't fail. And some of these you have to go back over, because I can just feel it through the towel that there's still gunk on it. Okay. Now I'm going to take my clean dry finger, dry it off a little more. It's skipping. So there's something right here. Not no more. Okay. Take my magnetic piece and grab my lid out of the boiling water. I mean the hot water here. And you're just gonna go finger tight. And what that means is you're just gonna go twist, twist until they can't twist no more. Do not crank it, just with your fingertips. So a good way to do this. Oh, I'm gonna hurt myself. When you do it, you see how at least that's, so you're gonna go. You could also go like this if you don't trust yourself. See how like I can't go anymore and I'm barely touching it? That's what you want. Okay, so I still have pinto beans in my pressure canner, which I figured I would. That's why I was saying I would describe it to you as I went, because it would be a lot to let you guys know what's happening. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take these beans, the rest of them, and I'm gonna put it in my container here. inside. I'll probably put these in my microwave so they stay warm. Put a towel over these. Go ahead and I'm gonna clean out my pressure canner. I got my water ready for my pressure canner. There's about 3 quarts of water in there. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna load my pint jars. So I went ahead and I put all of them in. They are allowed to touch. I go ahead and put my canning rack on top. These can stack as long as you have something in between, and I'm just gonna kind of make sure it's in the middle and that it's even. Done. I'm allowed to fit 20 pints in my canner. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna seal this shut. I'm gonna let it come up to pressure. Now the thing about pressure is depending on your altitude, you're gonna want it different than my altitude. Your pressure canner book should tell you what to do. So for instance, I'm a little over 1,000 feet in altitude. So pounds of pressure for me is going to be about 11. So I'm going to do 11 pounds of pressure. And then for this one, I'm going to be pressure canning for 75 minutes for my pint jars. Means we have to pressure can because it's low acidic, and then the botulism in it or the bad bacteria, if you don't get it above boiling temperature, then botulism and all that can live in there. So the pressure canner itself gets all of that pressure up, and it gets so high that it gets above, the temperature gets above boiling in here. That is how it is safe for a pressure canner, and why doing low acidic foods is necessary for pressure canning. High acidic foods, like your fruits and tomatoes, and whether you believe a tomato is a fruit or a vegetable, that is not the point here. I'm just giving examples to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Those are high acidic foods, so those can be water bath canned. Pressure canning is for your low acidic foods. So I'm gonna wait for right here in this vent, the steam vent, it'll have steam coming out, and it needs to be a good steady stream for about 10 minutes before I put my pressure regulator on it. And then that's whenever it'll start coming up to pressure. And then once it hits pressure, that is when I will go ahead and I'll start my time. Now I'll give you kind of a rundown, a quick rundown about a pressure canner. If you've never pressure canned, it cannot explode on you. They have way too many safety measures on it than they used to. So back in the day, if you heard somebody talking about your grandma blew up the kitchen, that's because they had different pressure canners. Now we have vents, and we have seals, and we have locks to make almost impossible to blow up your canner. It's just not going to happen. So kind of going over the pressure canner oven itself. So we got obviously the pressure canner. You got your lid, you got your pot, and then here is your dial gauge. This is what I have to take to my local extensions office every year to get it tested. Some have to get a weight tested. I have to get my dial gauge tested to make sure that it is doing perfectly fine on the pressure, because you don't want to waste all of your time pressure canning and then your stuff goes bad or you get sick because of the stuff you put in here. So get this tested. It's free at your extension office. So then you have your vent pipe right here. And this is where your steam is going to come out of. This little piece is your pressure regulator. Now each pressure canner is just a little bit different. And this is how mine is. Let's see, I got the Presto pressure canner, 23 quart, indication compatible with stainless steel clad base. I don't even know if you can see that. You have a vent lock back here. So when it gets up to pressure, this will pop it up, and you know that it's a good pressure inside. Like it is holding pressure inside. So right in here inside of your pressure canner, you have locking brackets. And what that does is if there is pressure on the inside, it will not let you open up your pressure canner. And then that way it's not poof of pressure coming at you. So have your sealing ring. So there are parts to get for that if your seal is a little you know, and it needs some help or you need a new one, go ahead and get another one. Those are pretty important. I would actually like to get on hand extra of those things. So if you are that person and you are actually prepared in life, go ahead and get some more of your sealing rings. Then you have an overpressure plug. I don't think you're able to see that. You know, actually might not have been able to see a lot of it. Right here, you have your air vent cover lock. Right here, that's what pops up. Your dial gauge, your steam vent, and then here is your overpressure plug. This little black thing. What this does is if your steam isn't able to vent properly for the whole pressure canner, this is gonna pop off, and then that way it can release that steam and that pressure appropriately instead of blowing up. So this is a pretty big safety precaution. If you want to have more of these, like I said, if you are one of those people that like to be ahead in life, I would strongly suggest getting some new ones. Hope that gives you a little bit more of a rundown over your pressure canner. It's pretty simple, honestly, once you get there. And then in your brain, it just becomes automatic on how to do this. It's very simple. While that is getting up to pressure in my pressure canner, I'm gonna go ahead and start drying up the other pinto beans. Right now I'm waiting for my first batch of beans to go up to pressure, and then next, beside it, I have a kettle going to boil water. It's pretty close to being done because on the other side, I've already canned up all of the pinto beans that I can, and so I need to go ahead and get my kidney beans going. So I got already my onions and my garlic in here. And then I'm just gonna add my peppercorn in. I do about 2.5 tablespoons of peppercorn. I could do more, I could do less. Add anything you want. Like seriously, add anything that you want to these. Yes, love.
You see this and this? It's the same thing, so it can be perfect for a dinosaur cake.
Perfect. We're canning and making dinosaur cakes with Play-Doh. Just another little tip. Honestly, keeping things on hand that are quick and simple for little kids to stay busy in the kitchen also helps. So like, I posted a video when I was doing broth about making a game out of the lid and then the pan. Right now, we got Play-Doh.
What's this?
There's also a cardboard box that I started using. So then that way, I mean, does it look beautiful? Absolutely not, standing right there. But I'm just pulling it out as my kids want, and then they get a color on it and tape it, whatever they want, while I'm cooking if they're not interested in helping me at the time. So, kettle just went off with the boiling water, so I'm gonna take you back over so you can see the rest of that. And got my 18 pints up in my microwave to stay warm while my pressure canner is going to be going. I'm just waiting for that to get up to pressure. And then I got my kidney beans. I went ahead and I put on the stove, and I'm going to get these up to a boil as well. Then I'm going to boil these for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to have, because I need 3 more jars up here, right? Yeah, so I have 17. I actually have 17 pints of pinto beans, so that way I could go ahead and get a full thing in the pressure canner. Thank you to my wonderful neighbor. I don't know if she wants me to say her name, so I won't say her name, but she actually came over and watched this for a little bit with me, and she has never even dealt with a pressure canner before. She was here for about 10 minutes, maybe a little more. Brand new person, put the canner, did it, and she was, thank you. You know who you are. Thank you for helping me out. But my kidney beans are done boiling for their 30 minutes. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it, strain it up. Woo. Also, in the meantime, I have my kettle going as well. That way that can be going as I am filling these jars, and then the kettle will be ready by the time I'm done. I'm just going to take my handy dandy spoon and just scoop that off. Take it over to my handy dandy stock pot, and I'm going to dump it in there to warm it back up. Okay, lovelies, so I have, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I have about 23 more minutes on my pressure canner for it to be processing. Obviously I'll have to wait for it to cool down, but I'm gonna go ahead and get my flour sack here. And if you don't have this, you could also use anything linen. Like I used a pillowcase before and it worked just as fine. So just a disclaimer, since you guys haven't seen the past couple days, this is the second batch out of day 2 with my bones. I was only able to get 2. It wasn't very good, but I have already strained all of the bones out, the big stuff. And during that process, I also use a fine mesh strainer to get the big bones out, so then it just gets all the other little things. Then I put it in the fridge and let it sit overnight, and I skimmed the fat off. Now I'm going to go ahead and strain it through this cloth. That way you can get all of the extra little bits out, because we like to drink our broth, and honestly it just makes it way better. So I had about 1.25 gallons, a little over a quarter, so 30 gallons. I'm not good at math. In the meantime, I wanted to let you guys know, over here, I guess I could take you over here. Yes, this side is dirty. This side is clean. This is a real house, you guys. I'm just saying. This is what happens in real life. So I'm gonna go ahead, put my clean ones over here, and I'm just gonna use hot soapy water to to get them more sanitary. Those already went through my dishwasher, but just in case like dirt and debris and, you know, something got on them, it's getting taken care of. And it warms up my jars too, so that way I could put my hot substance in it without it bursting. And it'll also be more acclimated to my pressure canner whenever I put it in there. I'm going to pour it through, and I'm going to be moving it around, because the debris is going to, all the little bits are going to get stuck in there, and then it won't be able to slide on through the liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and move it around, that way it can strain. So right now it's getting stuck, so I'm going to go ahead and just start moving it. That way it starts straining. Right now this is really hot, so I'm just pushing it, the balls of it that I have in here, just pushing it up against my ladle and into my rag, and then it just drips. Alright, so I just want to show you what this honestly looks like and why I think I'm always going to do this extra step, even though it takes a little bit of extra time. While this stuff is not bad for you at all, I want to make that very clear. There is all of this. Let me get the biggest part here. You see all that? Like, it's not bad for you, but since we use a lot of ours for drinking, we use them for like soups and stews and stuff. We use a lot of it for drinking. Just plain. Oh, shoot. You guys, I almost overflowed my kitchen sink. That's okay. I just heard the and I'm thinking it's my pressure cleaner, and I totally forgot. Then I left the water on me running. This is who I am as a person. I just want you to make that very clear. I want to make that very clear. I am a one who might call an airhead. So, but anyways, I did it. Going. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna rinse off my jars and just start filling them. You're gonna take these, and you're going to fill them up to 1 inch headspace. Okay, so when I say wide mouth and regular mouth, let me clear something up. This is a regular mouth, okay? It's kind of skinnier on the top. This is a wide mouth. It's probably harder to tell the difference. Right now on these, I don't know if you can see the difference, but this one, it just kind of has like a ding and straight down. Okay, it's very wide. I could stick. Oh, that was wet and cold. You can stick that all the way down without any problems. This one is a regular mouth, so it has more of a curve right here. And if you could see, I cannot stick my hand in there. So, whenever you're talking about that, you have 2 different lids and 2 different rings. So your lid for your regular mouth will be smaller than your wide mouth. If I put them up, this is probably a better representation of a wide mouth and a regular, the rings. So you got your wide mouth and you got your regular. Your regular can fit right inside. So, loop. You guys, it's so late. I go kind of crazy. So here it is. Boom. You can see it. If that clears up anything for you, I'm glad that I took the time to make a fool of myself. And if you already knew, I hope I entertained you. Because life is too short to be a stick in the mud. And you gotta have fun. I'm just saying. I'm going to go ahead, stick these in the microwave so they stay warm while my pressure canner is coming down, still pressured. I wanted to mention something. It's called siphoning. So I'm gonna bring you over here so you can see the jars. You can see that the rings look a little rusted. And that like something got on them. Okay? Then you're gonna come over here and you see that water is brown. So that is perfectly fine. So that is coming from siphoning. So that can come from about 3 different things. So it could be like your temperature's just boom, or really, really fast, or something didn't match temperature wise. Second thing is you could overfill your jars. That is why they say like headspace is you want a certain amount of headspace. That way it doesn't siphon out, that your stuff doesn't come out. It gives it that appropriate level of how much that water and the materials inside is going to move around. And if it comes out, it comes out. And then the third reason is you could take out your jars too fast. I don't think I took my jars out too fast. I don't think it was from filling them too high or too low. What I think happened with mine is my jars inside in the water did not cooperate well. So I think the water on the outside of the jars was too hot. So the stuff in the jar, in my pressure canner, was actually too hot compared to the liquid in my jar. My stuff in my jar was warm, but it wasn't as warm as what's in here. And then it came up pretty fast. Actually, I was thinking how the second batch came up super fast. So I'm letting this cool down for my third one before I go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rinse this out. That way I can just start fresh, and then I can see if the next batch is siphons. I've had siphoning happen before. It hasn't really messed with my seals. Out of 4 or 5 years canning now, I've only had 2 seals not go. And so that's nice. And one of those it was downstairs, so it already sealed upstairs. And then I went downstairs, took it in the basement, and then it went disgusting down there, which is why I highly recommend that if you are going to can, that you take the rings off of your lids, off of your jars. Let me give you an example. When you are canning, your ring is on. Okay, so this is the lid, this is the ring. You want to take your ring off, and then that way, if this does come loose, you are not getting a false seal. Because what can happen is this part right here, if it's on, and say your temperature is changing or whatever, and this pops off, or it finally just loses its seal. When the temperature fluctuates, or the atmosphere fluctuates, whatever it is, it's gonna go up and down. And this ring here can make it look like it's still sealed, and because it will seal itself back up. That is called a false seal, even if it was sealed in the canner at the time. Sometimes you won't have mold. Sometimes it'll just be a funk, right? And sometimes there won't be any. Botulism has no smell. So we also have to take that into account. So I would rather know that my jar is sealed properly than take it out and then I get botulism. It's very rare if that happens. I want to make that very clear. But if my seal comes loose, there is a possibility that could happen in here. So that's why I have these off, and then that way I know this will not go back on if it loses its seal. Just a little disclaimer. Nothing too scary, I promise. So storing your stuff. So you're storing it here, right? Do not store here. This has a ring on it because this goes in the fridge. This is tallow. So do not store your canned goods in the like this. do not store them on top of each other, because that could also give it a false seal. So what you want to do is you want to put some cardboard in between it, because it gives it some leeway. That way, if it pops its seal, it's not going back on. This is a weight where it's like boom, but the cardboard would be in between it and it wouldn't make a false seal, because it's going to be evenly distributed along all of the others on the bottom, so it won't put all of its weight directly on here, if that makes sense. Why am I doing this here? All right, they're all in here. Once again, it is okay if they touch. And then we're gonna get our canning rack and we're gonna put it just in the middle. And I have 20 pints in the bottom and 10 pints in the bottom. And I could do 10 pints up at the top. That would equal 20 pints altogether. There we go. And now I'm just gonna put a splash of vinegar in here. Put my lid on my jars, on my pressure canner. Whenever I kind of can tell it's about a temperature of 180, then I'll go ahead and put it on. I do believe this is the one that's siphoned, because the water line is all the way down here. That was hot. Water line up here, water line down there. This is what I'm telling you, like even though these siphoned, look how much clearer these are compared to these, because I didn't put distilled vinegar in this. You guys, I don't think you realize how exciting this is for me. I honestly love to put up my own food, and I love sharing that knowledge with you guys, and I'm hoping to get better and better and better at it. And like seriously, the joy on my face is legit joy. It is so fun to create your own food. Oh, you guys, you need to get on the bandwagon, because it is so much fun. It's so much fun. You want an addiction? Let's make that a good addiction. Let's make that addiction work for you, not the other way around. Altogether, we got 27 pints of pinto beans, 10 pints of black beans, 23 pints of kidney beans, and 5 quarts of bone broth. It is late, lovelies, and I am going to go to bed. Thank you so much for just sticking around this long. It's a really long video. I haven't had to cut a whole bunch more out. But you lovelies have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Bye.